plants edible plants near their home, so that even if he's ill, he can do that, and all that. But after some time, he didn't even need his own name. And when was he reminded of his name? One day he walked on the seashore, and his shoes were saw some footprints. He went there and tried to compare his own feet. Hey, these are not my footprints. Then he suddenly became aware of himself again. So we need another person to actually be aware of himself. You just can't be alone and say, I am this, I am that person. You are there because of the other person. So Judith Butler was like to say, this is one when the Hegelian question of who am I? So many people have asked. She's actually saying that you invert it. Say that you are there because of the other. What would I be without? Instead of saying, I am here because I am different from you. You just repose that question and say, what would I be without you? Then we start a human relationship. If you're not there, I would have been different. If my enemies were not there, if China was not there, India would have been different. If Pakistan was not there, India would have been different. Our own characterization of ourselves would have been different. If you look at the identity question from that angle, then you see the relationship between everybody, even your opponents. So I think that is what we have to do first of all, that we have to, in any conflict resolution, because we're talking about how to resolve the conflict that we face today. And when we do that, we start looking at the other side of the fence as well and start seeing, is there any similarity? Is there any difference? How big are those differences and all that? I think that's where it is. And I'm saying this because I think at the moment, the first thing that is needed is for normalcy to return. Because without normalcy returning, things can get only worse. If there are more violence, there's going to be even more violence because there'll be retaliatory kind of responses from both the sides, and it'll just carry on, and it's not going to take us anywhere. So I think somewhere this chain has to be broken. And when breaking this chain, you have different kinds of chain. You have the vicious kind of chain. You have hate will be returned, and then you hit somebody will hit you back. That will always be there. That hate cycle is going to be there. It's going to be vicious. It's going to harm us all. So I think there's another kind of cycle which can also break that cycle, which is a virtuous cycle. And you give someone, go and hand somebody a gift. That's going to soften us. That gift will be returned. So that cycle can also begin. So I think when we are resolving this conflict, I think we have to begin by looking at what is the way that we can actually begin that process when we reach out across the dividing line and start seeing each other from the same problem, same way that, for instance, when in the ship of Theseus thing, when you start looking at identity and the emptiness of it in some ways, it's also very, it's a very strong kind of paradox. People have said that identity is like an onion, that you have the onion as an identity, but you want to see what's inside, you can't start peeling it, there's nothing inside. That can be also what identity is about. We have to think of it that way as well. And let me just go a little more into, because we started off in that very somber mood, which is quite appropriate, and I think because somber that's necessary because we are talking about death, we're talking about people being made homeless and how to address that problem. So I think it's essential that we talk about this, that we have this idea of civilization, we have this idea of community, and all this begins, if you look at the evolutionary history, it begins with the idea of empathy. That's what they say, that if you read that book by Jeremy Rifkin called The Empathy Civilization, if there was nothing called empathy, civilization would not have been possible. I have to identify with somebody, I have to know that my problem is also the other guy's problem. Then only we start identifying with each other and we start developing common kind of programs. Otherwise, this can never happen. So the Rifkin actually says that this is a gift of humans, that how are we different from animals? For instance, even in dogs, we all keep dogs, they don't have this empathy, that they will not be sympathetic towards another dog. They might fight, depending on the mood. But humans are different. You see, for instance, somebody suffering and you also feel that hurt. You see somebody injured very badly and then you feel that hurt in your thing. You see a caterpillar climbing up somebody's neck and you feel that uneasiness in your neck. They said it's a soft wiring. We are soft wired for empathy. The hard wiring is when somebody picks your hand, that nerve cell sends a signal to your brain and then you feel the pain. But somebody getting hurt, a child getting killed in a bus accident, and you feel that hurt because we are soft wired for empathy. And that's where we have to emphasize. We have to have that empathy for any kind of conflict resolution. may think that this empathy is actually universal in the sense that you can actually go beyond yourself. You can actually go beyond your community, and your community becomes larger and larger. Once upon a time, we didn't have any community, we were just a village. Then this empathy circle started expanding, and this expansion has been continuing, and we have the nation now, and then humanity. And Rifkin actually says that this enlargement of empathy is actually going beyond just humanity. We are even feeling that empathy for equals what he calls the ecological empathy. Somebody chops down a tree, you can actually feel the hurt if you're sensitive, especially for the Gen Z generation, as I said, the younger people born after 2000, they have that sensibility. Once upon a time, if I was born, say, 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, when I was a hunter-gatherer, my empathy circle would be much smaller. But now, as we grow as a human race, as I said, started expanding. That empathy circle started expanding. We have a community, we have a clan, we have a village, we have a tribe, we have a nation, and this expansion has been going on. And certainly, in our case, I think that there was a break somewhere, and that's why we are seeing this macabre kind of development that we have seen in the past 1 month. And I think it is time for us to actually pull our minds together and see how to stop it. And also to find out the root cause. I'm not going to talking about the root causes because we've had already, as we were told, 3 other seminars like this, 2 other seminars like this, which were digging into that. We are talking about the way forward, so I'm just talking on these things. And one of the things that I want to just, I think I'll conclude here. I probably have exhausted my time here. So I'll just talk about 1 or 2 more points, and then I have been writing quite a few articles that because I'm a journalist, I have to write. And also, there is that urge to write, to communicate. This is one of the human qualities that we have to communicate. We just don't sit there and do nothing. Even if it is that there is pleasure and fulfillment itself in communication. That's why we are all learning to communicate better and better. So I think in my last article, this came out in the Hindu yesterday, I think, where I was talking about geography, how this is important. I think this will be a bit about a pause, but you'll forgive me for that. I was saying that geography is very important. We don't, when we talk about empathy, when we talk about identity, when we talk about peace and conflict, we often neglect the binds that geography put us together. And I was talking about how things that you think are remote. For instance, why did India get so worried about Doklam? Doklam is not an Indian territory. Chinese coming to Doklam, we were worried. Like that, the geography binds us together. And I will not go into what I wrote, but what this author, Robert Kaplan, wrote in his book, Revenge of Geography. And I just give that example. Probably that will illustrate a little more. He talks about the Nile River, why this is so important for the Egyptians. That once upon a time, Nile actually nurtured their civilization. So they have a civilization can connect with the river, something like Ganga in India or something. But the Nile River, the importance was also very physical in the sense that wherein the wind blows against the current. If the river flows this way, the wind blows the other direction. So what happens is when you want to go downstream, the current will take you downstream. When you want to come upstream, you put up your sail and the wind will bring you upstream. So it was extremely navigable river, and that actually was one of the reasons why this was so important for the Egyptian civilization. But now what's happened is you have so many other means of communication. You have the buses, you have the planes, you have the trains. Nile is not so important. But Egypt will still go to war with all the upland nations because they have that civilization memory that this is very important. So if Ethiopia wanted to build a dam, Egypt will still go to war with Ethiopia, that kind of memory. So this bind of geography is actually very, very strong. So which is what we are witnessing in Manipur as well. We are talking about the identity and all that. But there is much more. There is the integrity of that geography. Now you separate the valley and the hill. And now we are saying even the hills are suffering, valley is suffering. So these are integral geography. So these integral geography, when you try to separate them, when you try to disrupt this integrity, there's going to be conflict. That is one lesson we have to learn. That we cannot afford to do it. We must not do it. Anybody who's doing it is actually challenging that integrity and is actually the provocateur of that conflict. This, I think, we have to be very, very sure about. And then there's let me just conclude with human nature, because I also mentioned this in my article in the Hindu, that if you look at the Freudian approach to the human personality, you have, when you're born a child, supposing I was a child and I was not brought up in any society, I was brought up by some monkeys or in the zoo, I was placed in the zoo and I grew up in the zoo, my personality is going to be very different. My idea of identity, everything that we're talking about, everything that we're fighting about, is going to be very different. Right? But my identity and my personality was actually formed by the way I was brought up. If I was brought up in a Metis society, I would be like a Metis. If I was brought up in a Cookie society, I would have been like a Cookie. And so it is something given to us. That civilization value which was given to me actually is what Freud calls the superego. The superego comes about, and the superego can become very dictatorial at some time. The women can't go, or women can't do this. That also is the superego doing it. Sometimes you have to challenge it. And there is the inner force, which is the id, that you're born with. There's an instinctive force which we are born with. If you're not brought up by anybody, you'll be something, but then you'll be something dictated by that id. So what happens is there's always a conflict between the superego and the id. And ego is actually negotiating between the two. And that negotiation is what brings forth that complete personality. And what happens is when that civilization recedes, then superego is primal, superego is primitive, it has they get marooned like Robinson Crusoe in an island. No adults, they were just there themselves. And then they start developing there. They start shedding the values that were given to them. You have crow, whistle, they line up. Those kind of things were there initially. But slowly you start shedding all those values. And then your kids start taking over, they become violent. They become very, very, those animal instincts come out. Then what happens is in the end they are discovered. Adults come back again. There's not play, they discover the parents. In these children, while they were alone, they have become murderous and they start killing some of the people that within their companionship. There's people they didn't like, bullying to the extent of killing and all that. But suddenly when the adults arrive, the parents arrive, suddenly that drops again and they become kids again. So that balance between superego and ego is also very necessary. I'm just trying to point you out that from that book, what William Golding says in that book, that is actually, that balance is very necessary, and sometimes we lose that balance. And I think what happened to Manipur in the past almost 2 months is this, that balance gone. So everybody is taking the law into their own hands and all that. But I think ultimately this has to come back. The order has to come back. Superego has to be also there. It can't be so oppressive, but then it has to be there. It has to be enforcing the legal mechanism. And I think the ultimate situation will be when your identity is private. I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim. That remains private. And then we all become citizens. That we have a constitution to define what our rights are, what we can do and what we cannot do. And only if that comes to a situation where everybody acknowledges that and agrees to that, we are citizens first, and our identities, our religions, everything else is our private affair. That we keep it, and the private affair should not mix with public affairs. And I think that was the original definition of secularism. That you separate the church from the politics. Then that was originally defined as secularism, and democracy is a consequence of that. So I think what we need now is for that order to return. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Very nice. You have given a very broad perspective on a very philosophical level, and I wish everyone in Manipur was like you. And I don't think we're ever seeing this problem. But before I move on to another speaker, can you just elaborate on still a divide because of our religion and because of Christianity and so many things. And now they're so angry with us. They just refuse to come on dice with us. You know, I wanted to form a committee also. I requested Loro sir, MP, and our MOS also, and even our MOS, Ranjan sir, he conducted a group, all of us, Kuki, Rama, everybody was there, all intellectuals. So there we wanted, I requested to let's form a committee representing Maitai, Kuki, all three of us, and then we can think over, because we here in Delhi, we can see from a different perspective, so let us do that. But they did not agree. Now, so can you please tell us how they're so angry, how to bring them on the table?
No, I think that's a very difficult thing in a conflict situation. When it's, as I said, that circle has to be broken, that tit for tat, that hate for hate, that kind of situation has to be broken first. And for that to begin, let me also again refer to some conflict scholars who have actually made studies on this. And what I said in the beginning was also borrowed from him. There's somebody called John Paul Latrach. He's written a book called Moral Imagination, that our imagination is different from our moral imagination. And moral imagination, he gives examples. He gives a number of examples of how conflicts are resolved in small theaters. He gives the example of two African villages about to go to war, very, very angry with each other, don't just listen to each other. And then they were going to kill each other, and there was no room for dialogue. Then what happened was one of the chiefs was an old man, and the other chief was a young man. So the young man was gifted with this moral imagination and had the courage to actually do it. So he said, no, just go to your spears, because you're fighting with spears and arrows and all that. Just go to your weapons for a while. Let me just go and meet the old man. So he went to that old man. He said, oh, then in front of me he said, Father, you're like my father. You're my father's age. I'm like your son. Do whatever you want. You want to take my village, you want to take over my village, you want to take half my village, do it. You're my father, I will just give it. And the father also says, no, nobody's going to touch my son. Oh, he threw away his soldiers, and all of them actually laid out their arms, and the conflict ended. So I think that's the way somebody has to break that boundary, and should have the boundary, have the courage to actually do it. Now we are defining courage in terms of how I can kill. Now I think we should also define courage differently, say that this is also about breaking that boundary. Once we break that boundary, I think these conflict scholars have actually said for us that this can happen. You give love and then love will come back. You give hate and hate will come back. So I'm not talking about just one side. It's true of both sides that we should. This is where we should make the beginning.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Can we have the question answer later on? Thank you, Tamu. Really nice. So it is like a time that we find a big father figure who can console them, but angry sons, and who is a saint, who doesn't have any self-interest. And with this one, I move on to Tamu Himalaya Singh. Wonderful. I mean, he is the right person, and he will be elaborating with his own experience in the field. He was there, he was helping central government as well as the state government, and with his own experience, he will now talk about the pros and cons of various approaches to this Manipur crisis mitigation. So over to Tom.
Marita, thank you very much for inviting me. I see many familiar faces here, many friends. Mr. Amanda is here, and Rosie, and all my friends here, and of course, respected panelists. In the next 15 to 17 minutes, I intend talking about how do we go forward from here. Tabra. Okay. President Tabra. Okay. ethnic conflict in particular is because of certain imbalances as well as perceived imbalances. And normally, ethnic conflict is also caused by fear of future of myself and my group, my ethnic group, my state. I imagine Manipur to be like this, at this place. Whether, if there are any obstacles to that, then there is a conflict. I imagine my ethnic group to be whatever, in some place, and then it is directly in contrast to somebody else's belief, then the conflict starts. And in a society where we have been at war for the last 500 to 600 years, Manipur, with Burmese, with the British. In fact, in 1977, when I became a lieutenant in the Indian Army, I met a very respected officer from Ukrul district who had taken part in headhunting. You know what is headhunting?
Yes.
Yeah. I have met him. So we are not talking about many years back. We are just talking about 1977 is just not very far away. And in a society like ours, unless we subdue the other, we feel that the job is not complete. So therefore, the continued violence. In a society, if you see that certain societies have continued violence for at least 2 years, like Naga Kuki clashes continued for good 20 months, 1992, 93. Kuki rebellion, some call it Kuki war, continued for 22 months, 1916, 1915 to 1918. Whereas we had a complete situation between Meiteis and others. It got over in 4 days, but it continued. The wounds took time, you know. So I don't know how many days or how many months this will take. But I have some suggestions, pros and cons. I am not saying that this is the right way, but I would like to discuss with you the pros and cons, the challenges to the approaches. First, I will talk about the national security. We have a situation where the border is porous, as you know. 1762 Indo-Myanmar border is ruled by FMR, Free Movement Regime. You can cross without visa, passport, stay for 48 hours and come back. But that is only for people staying within 16 kilometers of the international border. But I'm sure, at least I have been to Tamil many times, whereas I'm not entitled. Those entitled are only those people staying within 16 kilometers. And secondly, you have more than 60 armed groups in our vicinity, in our neighborhood. 60. That is only in Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, and Northeastern. If you count the Myanmaris, you have more than 100 armed groups. So this is imbalance. I'm trying to say the national security part. And what about the geopolitical game? Is China interested in this? I don't know. What about the Act East policy and Chinese Myanmar economic corridor, which is already operational? Our Act East policy is still aspirational. Only a few days back, the first ship went from Calcutta to Sittwe port. But from Sittwe port to Northeast India is miles away right now. So the connection between China, a very unstable neighborhood, a very unstable internal security. In all this, we are living in the center of it. What do we do? Can So these are the questions in the external environment. But internally, you see, we have a Naga accord in the making. So many years. We have 26 groups of the cookie chain groups. You know what commonly you will know as the suspension of operation soup. 26 groups. That also started in 2005 by the Assam Rifles, then 2008 by the Government of India. We don't know what the outcome would be. We are living in that atmosphere. Creating fear, what I was telling you, that the actual reason is about the fear of the unknown. And ethnic conflict starts there. So national security part, and not to talk about the drug part. I have said it openly 5 years back. No less, I won't name the people whom I met, but highest authority. 40,000 crore rupees worth of drugs and narcotics.
Bolu, thoda sa tease. Athoba, can we increase the mic? Bolu.
Oh,
This is much broader. Yeah. Thank you.
Yarba.
Yeah.
Good. So, I think I'll do that. So, you have a situation,
It's much better.
40,000 crores, I think this will be all.
Anita, naknarating lang na.
Switch this off. I'll switch it off. Banita, I'll have to take 2 minutes extra.
Sure, Tapa, all the time is for you. To add for stopping.
See off those guys. Okay. So, we have such a, isn't it imbalance? Just see 40,000 between Mizoram and Manipur. That is the kind of drug trade, poppy culture. And the Manipur government claims 18,664 acres of poppy plantation destroyed. And that is, government sources tell me that was only part of the problem, only the portion. So we are living in an environment where it is the security issues, both external and internal, are not in the grips of getting into kind of a thing. So this must be addressed. We still do not know what will be the outcome of the Naga talks. What will be the outcome of the Bookie talks? That is what my last sentence was. So we are living in a society where only question marks are there. Creating fear in the minds of people. We do not know, Pradeep mentioned about the future of, I'll just tell you this thing about. My daughter is a psychologist in Jennings, in fact. And she is treating children, babies, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, from the camps who are coming for, just see the impact. Within 50 days, many children have already developed psychological problems. What will be their future? So, therefore, this also is, I'm mentioning this because it's about human security. So we need to address these, a few of the points that I have mentioned. The second part is the integrity of Manipur that a lot of us keep talking about. I'll recall, firstly, we are very proud Manipuris. In 1762, the agreement between the King of Manipur, that time Manipur was known as Megley, and East India Company, talked about Manipuri kingdom south of Brahmaputra. That was the kind of empire. And then now you have it in 10 or 20 kilometers, square kilometers, then this is imbalanced. But let's be realistic. In 1947, the first constitution of Manipur, well before the Indian constitution, it has 55 pages for hill administration, 55 pages. An entire constitution of Manipur that time, signed by Maharaja Bidachandra, had 12 pages. I actually counted it. 55 pages for hill administration, 12 pages for Manipur constitution. Therefore, there was an element of, I won't say separate administration, but separate attention to the hills. Come further, 371C, which came into being from all of you are aware. While 371A empowers the Nagaland Assembly, 371C takes away the power from Manipur Assembly. Why? For the protection of the hills. So there has always been a kind of a separate, not separate, a different arrangement. So therefore, what am I coming to? In the 16-point Naga Agreement, 9-point agreement, Article 3 of the Indian Constitution, which can recreate the state's boundaries, it has always been written that as regards a change in boundary, we'll think some other time. I mean, that is what the agreement is all. Till 16-point agreement, because Shillong agreement didn't work at all. So therefore, the idea of what you and I think about this is that element of some question is still there. So now what is the solution? The solution, to my mind, that's what the discussion is on pros and cons, is that as far as the pros are concerned, we have to be realistic, as Pradeep said, that is not the time for eye for an eye. It is about peace building. It is about conflict resolution, give and take, dialogue, sit down together. It is when Amit Shah came to Manipur and announced those 9 steps to conflict resolution, I thought it was a good beginning. But it didn't have the impact that I expected. The peace committee didn't take off. I thought it didn't take off because my name was there. I told the Chief Minister that he should not have included my name, that it might have taken off also. So the point is that it has to be give and take. Some kind of a devolution has to be on the table. Devolution of power has to be on the table. This is my view. Hill Area Committee actually has got so much of power. I was telling Mr. Loho, MP, one day he came to my house. He said, General, this is that, he had some issues. I said, have you read the powers of Hill Area Committee? He said he has read the Indian Constitution. I said, no. That is only the constitutional part. Have you read the rules of business of State Assembly? Powers are huge. I said, I told him, you don't know what your own powers are. Please go and study. So the point I'm trying to derive is that certain amount of powers have been given already. So we need to think how to negotiate a peaceful environment. Next, I come to the issue of administrative arrangement. Okay, that I have covered in some way. Now the real short term, I'll give my mic in about next 3-4 minutes. The Peace Committee did not take off as yet. I hope it does. Judicial Commission of Inquiry, good beginning, so that the blame. Let's not talk about who started first, who was at fault and all, because the Judicial Commission is there now. They're supposed to do it. They've been given 6 months. Rather than that, let's look forward. When we look forward, the issue things like forest, land rights, customary laws. Customary laws, we are very fond of saying customary laws because in the merger agreement, it says, merger agreement with Indian Union, it says the customary laws will be protected. But unfortunately, customary laws are not codified. I said this is my customary law. He will say that this is my customary law, all at loggerheads with each other. And in our tribal society, what I am saying is, in our tribal society, is that Meiteis may not be scheduled as tribes, but we have characteristics of tribes. We consider that our customary laws means everything, right from legislative, financial powers, land, whereas the understanding outside is customary law means personal laws. Not so much about land, so much about legislative power, no. But in Manipur, Nagaland and this part of the country we have is that customary laws means everything. Superseding constitution, time to rethink, time to codify, time to debate. I'll give you an example about, Vanita, I'm going to take 2 minutes extra, I told you. About the chief's rights. You all must be knowing that in the Naga society, we have the Naga village as the ownership of the land. In the Kuki Chin group, it was said that, it's the chiefs have all the right. Actually, that has been removed in 1967. Mizoram Kuki Chin group doesn't have that. Cookies in Nagaland doesn't have it. Cookies in Assam doesn't have it. But somehow in Manipur, even after passing of the law, the gazette never got published. So there are the legacy issues. Forest. Yesterday I attended, Pradeep was also there. The forest law, it's a model. Actually, you feel like, sometimes you feel that, our past, you understand? Means the stars have connived to create problem for us. It's no law at all. As far as no law has been followed there in the forest areas of Manipur. Not yesterday, it's continuing for last 50 years. So all this have come into play today and burst out like a cracker today. So therefore, we have to go back into the drawing board. We have to go back, but then we cannot change everything that has been given. We cannot take away everything from human society what is already perceived to be yours. At least you can stop. At least you can negotiate, talk like civilized people. That's what I will also strongly recommend. That is why can't we reach out politically? Let's have a meeting in Aizawl, actually. Call the Kuki MLAs. Or Kohima, or something. We'll have to reach out. There is no other way except dialogue. Local solutions have to be the flavor of the day. A lot of people ask, why is Delhi not doing enough? Yes, we agree we are very small, not very powerful states. So the center has to guide. But the solution you have to find ourselves. It will not come from heaven. Are we ready? That is a question that we have to talk. And lastly, I would like to suggest that like Vanita has taken initiative here, Nupilang, all our society, Manipuri society has been led. All revolutionary ideas have come from the ladies, from the women folk of Manipur. So let's reach out. In the end, each one of you, Vanita, the organizers of the Delhi Manipuri Society, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to be with you. Thank you very much, Karamchari.
Thank you so much, Mama. So, sir has put across very, very important, even though in a very soft tone he has laid down all it is to be done. But one question I would like to pose to all of you in the audience: are you ready to find a solution yourself? Atmanirbhar Manipur. Are we ready? Have you ever asked yourself why this is happening from 1776 onwards? Have we ever thought for our Manipur as a holistic Manipur? Have we embraced our brothers, cookies and others? Have we embraced them like our own? And then, when I think, what I feel is that we, Manipur, we are the only 300 years of slavery, 300 years of colonization, the only state, the only kingdom who killed the British officers were we, the Maitais. So sometimes I keep on imagining, when this sir said, the hills, 55 pages, plain this, I feel like, maybe they're kind of revenging on us for what we have done, which nobody could in the whole of India. And we are proud of that also. And can I just repeat that incident, it was not directed by anybody, it was taken up by the own armies, all the Maitais army Laluks. It was not ordered by Veer Tikendra also and his brother King also. It was in the public there, they got so angry, they got so they realized, oh, he came to, capture our Yuvraj, our hero, and that was it, and that is what is happening in Manipur today. This is what I want to say. We are a martial art and we have been like this. Why the ladies of Manipur are so strong? The reason is that this martial arts, they went fighting for the land here to Myanmar. The ladies had to take care of the house, starting from the economy to the security. Our dance movement, which is so beautiful, is the steps of the martial arts. We all know that. But have we forgotten that to think of so many divisive forces, divide and rule? First conversion from Sanama, our own religion, to again Hinduism, and which we accepted into our fold so nicely. And then comes again 1891, Britishers with the, what they wanted to again do it. So, are we a victim of all the circumstances? If so, then we should have understood. And then come 1947. Did they ever know the Manipur geography? Forget about the history. 90% of our geography was hills. Did anybody know? Nobody knew. We have to do 40th merger, please come and decide. And who are the people who decided? Did they ever know 90% of it? If ever they had known 90% of the hills of Manipur, 90% of the geographical area of Manipur was hills, I don't think this would have ever happened.
The first geography book was written in 1931 in Manipur. I have got a copy. Out of 45 pages, only 2 pages are of the hills. 1931. So we have also a lot of things to answer.
So nobody wrote about us. We had Chekhar Kumbaba in the palace, 36 AD, if I'm correct. 33, yes. I keep on confused. 1, 2, 3, that's it. Is our history, that's it. So we have to take care of ourselves, we'll take care of us. The solution is, sir, I would say, has to be, we have to divide the solution. So first we should know what we want, and then we have to bring them on the table. They're angry. Yes, they will be angry. So many reasons. So many reasons. And we didn't empower ourselves. So time has come. So with this thought, once again, now we will move on to Rajat Sethi, who is a non-Manipuri but having a very close connection with the our administration. So his topic economic. Let me just read down the topic have allocated to him, and the economic cost of this crisis and what are the policies Manipur need to revive. So over to Rajat.
Jari to all of you. It's such an honor to be sharing the dais with such esteemed senior people from Manipur. Although it is at a somber note, I would have ideally expected this discussion to happen at a much more enthusiastic mode. But I, among all people, never imagined that things would come to this level, and the first interaction that I would get to speak at a Manipuri platform would be at such a sad event. So my condolences to all the grieving families back in Manipur. I have worked in the state for the past 6-7 years until 2022, wherein I thought that Manipur is developing at rocket speed and everything is so good. There is very little that I can contribute further. And then I decided to go back to learning and go back to think tank related activities, and I stepped out of Manipur 1 year back. And today we are again going back and debating and discussing some of the issues which we thought we had left long back behind us. I remember in 2016 when I was, for the first time, I stepped on the soil of Manipur. I had been working in the state of Assam for like good 2-3 years, and I understood that Assam is complex, but the complexity of Manipur really shook me. That time, I remember the MLR Act related protests were happening on the streets. It wasn't a resolved issue back then, that debates were still happening. Among those debates, one of the debates was around the ILP movement. In a very big way, this movement was going on. The ST demand was not even articulated. That wasn't a demand as such. But we were seeing that even when the Chief Minister, the former Chief Minister, he was going into Ukrul, some of the organizations, insurgent organizations in Ukrul attacked him, fired him on the helicopter. His helicopter could barely land. It was evacuated. He was evacuated from Ukrul and he was taken back to Ufa. This was Shri Bobiji, who was the then Chief Minister. So, among all of this that was happening in the state, I reached Manipur and I tried to understand more about the society, more about the problems of the region, so that, as an Indian citizen, it is my responsibility. Manipur is a part of our country. We should all know about the state and its fine details. One thing that I realized was that the complexity of Manipur is like the complexity of India, all compressed into a very small geography. That's the level of complexity that I realized, and it was very cumbersome. When I was started living there, I was living in one building in Hangar Bazaar, that's this place that I could get just to research about the state. Nobody from outside, from the other parts of the country were actually coming in and investing that much time. Therefore, the finer understanding of the state was missing in the larger narrative countrywide. And therefore, my early years in Manipur was all about learning. I still believe that I don't know much, especially with all of you knowing far more about the states, but I will try and elucidate certain points which I feel as an outsider I felt about the state, and I would want to hear your opinions on that. First thing that I realized is that Manipur society is generally entangled in a zero-sum problem. Zero-sum problem means that anything you do with one community, one part of the community is seen at the cost of other communities. So you bring a Naga solution, it will be seen as at the cost of Meiteis or at the cost of cookies. You try and initiate talks with cookies through a Sioux arrangement. Then the Nagas would be like, we are not party to that, you should also make us a party, otherwise we will revolt against it. So any outreach from the central government that was happening was largely seen in this zero-sum problem. Zero-sum means plus something minus something is net is zero. So the society wasn't moving forward because of these problem statements, and on top of that, lack of articulation. And this is one challenge which I felt on all the protracted troubles. Naga community had, documented these are our 4, 5, 6 demands on which there will be no negotiations. The Kuki community also decided doing that. But Meitei society wasn't even sure about what they are asking for. How do you enter into a negotiation when you don't even know what your principal demands are? What are the principal demands? I'm asking you today, is ST a principal demand? I don't know. Because that articulation is still not coming from the community. You went with a solution on ILP. There was so much bloodshed and protest, massive protests around ILP. Today you have ILP, still you are in the same problem. You were fighting for ILP so that you don't have to face this day, right? Where there are communal clashes. You wanted to protect your land, you wanted to protect your people. And this is why you fought for ILP, but then it was given, but you're still at the same place. So this means your demand wasn't correct in the first place. So that articulation requires a lot of brainstorming. Mobs cannot do justice on crafting demands. Mobs have their way of dealing with situation. You need intellectuals like them, give them the due respect to be able to at least come out with issues. And once those issues are articulated, these issues have to be communicated to the other community. The other communities at this stage, they don't know exactly what you're asking for. There are insecurities on all the aspects. You should understand their insecurities, they should understand your insecurities, and try to find a common ground. That out of a list of 6 things, we can perhaps work on 3 of those things. So that is perhaps a smart approach of dealing with the problems that are there. Otherwise, I can tell you today, Kuki people have insecurities about Meitei community. Similarly, my brethren on the Meitei side will say that we have deep issues with Naga coming to a solution. But there is no articulation. So everything will be lost in this massive amount of colossal confusion that carries on and on and on. Because we have never had discussions, honest to hard discussions around what does a community want in order to address some of the insecurities that the community has. When I came in and the government was formed in 2017 under the leadership of Shri N. Biren Singh Ji, the first task that I was given was, because of the MLR Act, the protests that happened in Churachandpur, there were dead bodies in the mall, lying there for more than 600 days. I don't know if people still remember that event. There were several bodies in the mall in Churachandpur, and our job was to convince the community leaders that let past be past, let us move forward. Let there be promise in our future. And that future is a collective future, there is no sectarian future. And we were able to give respectful burial to the dead bodies that were lying there for 600 plus days. And then the community moved forward, everybody embraced each other. For past 5 years in the first regime, we can say it was not a full majority government, it was a minority government working, taking support of Nagas, Kukis, everybody together. For 5 years there was no single lathi charge also anywhere. The state was moving at a double-digit economic growth. I know in the COVID times, I was reaching out to people, Meitei communities and Kuki communities living here in Delhi, and everybody was eager of going back to the state. They're like, we don't want to live in Delhi anymore. We are having so much economic opportunities in my state. Why should I, waste my entrepreneurial ability in Delhi or in Bangalore, etc. I used to be very happy because of that. I can tell you, within a span of, in 2017 when I went there, eating joints were limited. You couldn't find food after 6-7 p.m. because all the shops were shut. But fast forward till 2022-23, there were hundreds of restaurants run by young people like yourselves. I can tell you the number of GST collections from the state were rising. We were getting investments in strategic sectors into the state. But because of this problem, everything has come to an unimaginable stop where I don't foresee people having the confidence of being able to, collect whatever is left behind and look forward. That is the complete erosion of economic confidence among the society. For trade to happen, there has to be trust. Trust is an embedded underlying nutrition which allows economic activities to grow. But without that, how will you even do that? Do you have a roadmap that today, whoever are the Kuki brethren who are part of the economic activities together, working alongside you in a competitive setup, will they ever be able to come back to the valley? Or will the Manipuri Meitei people, I used to interact with a lot of politicians, and they used to say that in their lifetimes they have never been to Ukkur. In their lifetimes they have never been to area beyond Churachandpur Valley. The reason was that there was hardly any economic activity which was trying to establish new ways of reaching out to different communities, forming new relationships with them, which were largely economic in nature. None. So everybody was living in their silos, not understanding what the other person wants, what is the other person's aspirations. But among this distrust, we started sowing seeds of trust. That resulted in a lot of economic activity between places. There were highways built, roads were being built. Look at till More, the road between Imphal to More. Fascinating four-lane of that highway. We all did it because we realized that there is so much amount of trade that we can do, not just within India, but also between Myanmar. And right now, the most unfortunate feel that I feel really bad about is that the same highway is being used for smuggling in weapons from across the border. You know, we used to fight with the Ministry of Roadways, the North Ministry, to make that highway, to make a proper four-lane highway, because that is going to be the part of this trilateral junction all the way to Thailand. That was the aspiration with which we were working. But today, just now, India Today carried a very depressing news that thousands and thousands of arms are being smuggled through that same road. And my worry is, and you know, all senior people are here, they will be able to echo this. The principal problem is that it is no longer a cookie-making problem. There are foreign actors who have jumped into this crisis. Now they have made it an India problem. And what do you do in a protracted problem like this? It is no longer, I'm telling you, even if you take steps, my worry is there are vested interests outside of India who doesn't want a peaceful India, a growing India, a robust India. That is not in their interest. And in this scenario, the basic problem is perpetuating this. India is going through a very important phase of elections, national elections. National election is the time when the country is weakest because political transitions happen. Every foreign entity wants to scavenge on these opportunities, tear apart societies, create more confusion. In 2019, I can tell you, I used to work closely with the Intelligence Bureau also. There were videos around CAA, NRC, etc. being forced in Russian script. They were forced into the northeastern region so that people can get more and more agitated around CAA and NRC. The anchors were Russian in nature. They were trying to read in English, but you know, in broken English, whatever they could. Where were these videos being brought in? There were videos that some random person in the northeast is burning Indian flag, trying to create more, turbulence on the ground so that there is no peaceful northeast, because everybody understands peaceful and growing northeast is in India's interest but not in our adversary's interest. So in this scenario, what do you do? How do you move forward? A lot of people I hear on television discussions is that politicians are the problem. I understand part of the problem is politics. But even the other part, the solution is also going to come from your politicians only. Because Nehru used to famously say, you know, somebody asked him the question, that what is the best form of government? He said, I don't know that. I can only tell you that democracy is the second best form of government. Nobody has invented the best form of government. So in a democratic setup, you cannot do away with your political representative. Okay, how much ever you want to wish that had there been no politics or no politicians, we would have been a very good society. I'm sorry to say, it's a wishful thinking. Today, if any solution has to be brought out, whom does the central government speak if there is a president rule? If there is a president rule, essentially doesn't mean that the Honorable President Murmuji is actually governing the state. It doesn't work like that. It is the bureaucrats which will be working, right? If there is if the political process is bypassed through a PR or is bypassed by dissolving the assembly, whom does the people reach out to you? So if you were to speak to one civil society, the other civil society say that I don't believe in this solution that this civil society is trying to project. I am the spokesperson of the society. So there is no end to this. So essentially in our constitutional system, which is absolutely non-negotiable, the best possible approach is through our political representatives. Ensure that all of you as civil society members create and exert pressure on them so that the rightful solution is achieved, but have trust in the process. Things are protracted, we understand the pain that everybody is going through, but solutions, the same establishment will give you interesting solutions and we should have trust on them. Therefore, my last, thought that I will leave you with is, do not expect necessarily that mobs will be giving us a solution. It is societies, the intellectual communities in the society that should be looked up to. Assert some confidence in them. A lot of people of you are students, are JU students, are working towards your PhDs, etc. Reach out to your brethren in the student community. Form small groups, try to deliberate, share your insecurities in an honest way with them. Understand their insecurities also. Try to find micro solutions here and there and write about it. Write a common article in Indian Express, written by one maybe supposed intellectual along with a book intellectual. Try to create that common ground. Common ground will essentially flow from all of you. Do not expect that vested people who have vested interest in elongating this crisis is going to give you solutions. It's not going to happen that way. Therefore, my appeal is that, let the young people also become an equal torch bearer alongside the senior people to start looking for solutions before our adversaries start taking undue advantage of this problem and make it an entire spilled over problem of the entire region of the Northeast. That shouldn't be the future. I will leave here and I'm looking forward to your comments. Thank you.
Being, from the arts, birds, and from an outsider's viewpoint, what is our Manipur? And we've spoken everything. So what we need now is confidence building measures among migrants first, most priority. That is first, and thereafter, let's have our hand out to them. See, this, and we migrants, we have, as sir rightly said, Himalaya sir mentioned about the customary laws. Our customary laws are so strict. A Maite will never leave their house, so is a Naga will never their house. We love our land so much. We will not even go to the hills. Even if we have hills, even if we are given ST, we will never leave our house because our Sanami stays in the house. We have adopted this beautiful dualism, I would like to say that. Like, Japan has done Shintoism and Buddhism. There were a lot of riots at that time. Buddhism entered, but then they found peace. They have the two shrines together. This is what we have done. We have adopted ourselves in our home. Our Sanama is there. But again, we have the mandirs also. So we are like that. Then that strength now we have to bring in to build the confidence of our two brothers. I don't know whether to call it elder brothers or younger brothers, but in our history, when they say that hill people are our elder brother, the valley people were very weak, so they were forced by, they were asked to go down to the plain because the plain is very easy and nice. But the bigger brother, they were the powerful one, they remained in the hill, and they said that we will protect you. This is a story that we are told as a child. They are your elder brother, you are the younger brother, and since you are weak, you stay in the valley. Where are those stories? Has this younger generation have heard those stories? We have ignored. We have not written even about these hills. When I tell in my level, when I say in Manipur I cannot buy a land in the hills, people are laughing. Oh really? So surprised why the whole nation doesn't know about it. We have got a habit of looking inside, global world, internet, everything, but then we say, oh, no Hindi movie, nothing doing. Some news was there saying that why Holly is not protesting that there's a crisis in the Manipur. Have you allowed them to come? We love to hear it. So time has come that we should look outward. We should export our culture, our beautiful culture which is so popular all over the world. Manipur is so small, 30 lakh population. Where is the market? If we have to find a market for our culture, our food and everything, like the way that Korea has done, we have to come up, we have to sell it. And we have to make it commercially viable. That will bring money, and that is how we are supposed to progress. Nothing new. So isn't it high time that we change our mindset? Yes, we will always be standing for what we believe, we will not change. That's why all the uprisings, when houses are burned, why we are so angry. This is all these things, and so at the end of the day, after hearing Rajat, let's try once They are your representative. You can't say, oh, politicians are bad, then you're bad. You are good, no? So if you're good, then they're good, and let's make them good, and they will deliver if the pressure is there in the right direction. This is something, zero sum, oh my God, and in science, it takes so much. We have to push them so that they move the way we want. Let's not be divided at the end of the day. Now, I think I'm talking too much. So now next to the most important thing now, political solution will come, has to come, it's going to come. Danda has been put from the center. Now over to Anil. First I'll give it to Anil. He is the secretary of the Manipur Chambers of Commerce, and he has just come from Manipur, and how with all these difficulties, how they're surviving, how they were able to bring up the commerce of Manipur, how they were able to bring Manipur in the forefront, even having all those Miss India and Vistara and the TAS agreeing to build a 5-star hotel, and then today what? So Mr. Anil will be able to give a lot of answer to our questions.
Thank you so much, moderator. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Punamahu. Actually, I'm coming from India, so I rather focus on the more of the economic crisis rather than the socio-economic situations. So, you see, Manipur, I don't know whether it is a destiny or it is a part of a archetype of someone else. Like, if we happen to look back from the 1992 onwards, we seem to have a type of a balance, ethnic classes repeated after nearly 10 to 15 years. It was in the year 1991-92, I guess. It's a Nagakudu class, 92-93 is a Miti Pangal class. And then somewhere around 2004, it's not actually class, in 2001, we have a complete unrest that lasting more than 3 months in a cycle of parity violence type. So in that period, what I felt is that we seem to forget like what was the economic damage that has been done by those ethnic violences. Now, I'm coming to the present violence also, but we seem to forget, even the academicians, economics, or whatever series, so we seem to forget the damage is being done by them and how much it has been affected in terms of economic growth in the society. So I have been told that in the Kuki community class, there was no complete hold of economy in the state, since there is no movement from valley to hills or from hills to valleys. So from then onwards, in the limited cycle mode, we used to have a sort of a crisis, and for that, and by that, we always hinder the growth of the state economy. That is what very, very, very unfortunate things. And even more unfortunate things is that, after 2004 or something like that, I can't exactly recall those years, we have been facing a new ethnic violences in a momentum, in a magnitude which we have never dreamed of. And this is the most serious and this is the most unfortunate things. How can we imagine, have you ever imagined killing 100+ people, displacing 70,000 people from their lands and their homes? And what would be the fate of our state if we do not check on time? See, Manipur, in the last 10 years or 12 years back, the concept of enterprise, the concept of business and trade, that was not up to the mark, that was not up to the present, as we compare with the present status. So, from the years onwards, I have been checking the data being released by the government. There was a substantial growth in the GDP starting from 2011-12 till now. And there was even growth in the last years. So I don't know what will be the fate of this current fiscal years. I believe it will be definitely down. Or even we may go to a stage where there is a complete economic crisis if the balance is not stopped. exactly at this hour. So I thank the Delhi Manipur Society for organizing such an important panel discussion in this very personal time. So let me read out some few data after this. See, in the 2017-18, Raja Shekhar must be knowing much more than that. We have some GDP come to some 25,000 crores, and then in the year like 21-22 is something like 30,000 crores. It was a substantial growth in spite of those incidents that took place in some 10-15 years back. This is because of the young peoples, young energetic peoples who have been interested to set up the enterprise for the future of the Manipur. But suddenly, it has been collapsed. I will be repeating this sentence again. And the most unfortunate thing is that it was in the month of February, I guess, 17 February to 21 February, I guess, with the gradual improvement of law and order, with the gradual improvement in the business sectors, Manipur was in the global web of business and trade by hosting the B20 summit under the G20 in the Manipur. So there was a lot of opportunities for the young enterprise. And there was unimaginable possibilities of investors from both domestic and from foreigners also. But what do we have now? In spite of investors coming to our place, in spite of having business connectivities with our local entrepreneurs, with the other entrepreneurs, within the countries or outside the countries, what do we have? I was shocked to see that Manipur is in the negative travel advisory by many countries. With that negative travel advisory to our place, the place once called the Switzerland of India, the place once defined by our first Prime Minister as the jewel of India. It's the same for all of us to have a thing as a negative travel advisory area. That means we are not safe for others to visit our place. This is very, very unfortunate. And with that kind of situation, how can the tourism sector be improved, which is one of the most potential sector in our place, owing to its geography, owing to its natural climatic conditions, and owing to the hospitality of the people, now is completely settled. It's not only the tourism that has to collapse. The other sectors, which is indirectly or directly depending on the tourism, is completely settled. IT is completely shut down. All embassies are on the verge of closing very soon, if this is not rectified as soon as possible. So, I was rather shocked by one of my friends telling me that 25,000 employees being employed by the education sector in Manipur, they were living without pay. Some of them are living with a half pay. Some of them are even going to cut down their staffs also. That how could we run a company? I mean, the economy, when the education sector is completely hit. Maybe, of course, we can reload the economy after some time, but the time lapse by the students during this period, what is the mode of compensation for that? The psychological trauma that is being injected to our children, I don't know when it's going to make them free out of their fears. Even my child sometimes asks me, Papa, are we going to be active by the cookies? Are we safe in our own home that is living in the heart of the city? There's a kind of a psychological trauma we are having in our students. So I think if we do not go together, if we do not bring amicable solutions between the communities or among the communities in Manipur, the cascading effects, the negative effects will be too high and will be unimaginable. On the business front, everyone in the private sector is suffering. I'm telling you seriously, including myself, we are all suffering to the extent which we have never imagined in our life. It was much more than the COVID period. There was too many restrictions in COVID, but there were also many possibilities in the COVID time. But this time, being the internet being shut down, and all the parameters are being shut down, we don't have any options rather than to close down our offices in the very near future. That is the most crucial, unfortunate things of the state. So I request everyone, I request all communities to come in an amicable solutions and to shape a future, a shape economy that is supposed to be like expanded in the very near futures, like if these things are not even happening. So Manipur, being lying in these things, between two member populations. I'm talking about rather on the AIP's policies. We are having so much of potentials. I mean, not a resource at the moment. We have a potentials owing to the geography. You look on the east, it's a gateway to Manipur, is a gateway to Southeast Asia. On the west, it's a country with a mammoth-sized populations. Bangladesh and Indian mainland on the western side. On the eastern side, we have the Asians connecting through borders. So we have a lot of potentials. But who will come and invest in our place? When our laws and orders, when the situation is very volatile, we don't have any options rather than to surrender the potentials. The potential which we see in our own eye, we will not be able to take all those potentials and utilize for our futures. None from any companies or foreign or domestic, they don't have interest in investing in a place where there is unstable type of situations. So it's very important for all of us to rethink once again, to stabilize, to compromise at a level where we can do, and for the common growth. So, as a representative from the trade body, we have requested government, the state government, and we also requested to the finance minister, like we have been hit in terms of economy up to the magnitude by this current situations. So we requested, we prayed that there could be some economic packages to restart their life once again. Just imagine the people living in the relief camps where their homes are completely being burnt off. After the normalcy, when they come back to their own places, what would they do for their livelihoods? Their properties are gone. Their surplus, their reserves are gone. But yet, to continue of life, they have to restart again. And for that, we need economic packages. We need certain modification in terms of taxes, madam. We pray that some taxes be relieved, be waived off from the entrepreneurs of Manipur, or including all government staffs of Manipur also, for a certain period of time if possible. Otherwise, we don't have limited capital flow to start a business once again. So I sincerely request to all of us to rethink once again for our future. Thank you so much.
And it's really heartbreaking. You know, like, just imagine businesses close down and then along with the business, the employees, how they're going to be paid. Last month maybe managed to pay, but this month, how are you going to pay when there's no earning? Who is going to carry the deficit? When there's nothing is happening, no sale purchase is happening, and look at the price rise. The ginger, which is so much available in Manipur, like it's like 50 rupees kg or something now, it was sold at 200 rupees, and it's a very daily use item, we use it every day. And you know, like my cousin, he was telling me, he's in the Manipur University area, so he came out and he saw this lady selling cucumber, no, mango. He said, please buy that 20 rupees. 2, 3, so he paid 100. How the 20 rupees, I mean, what is 20 rupees now? This is the situation, and then why people are not aware of it? Why? Now here, let me just give us, sure, please.
I just wanted to add up one important point, like the degrading agriculture sectors because of the monsoon and because of the current issues. If we don't check the degrading the healthcare system, if we don't check all these local trades between communities at the right point, we are doing nothing. We are digging a common grave for a mass society of the society. Thank you so much.
Very great. So, like, we all have been living together. The hills people bring down all this ginger and everything, even turmeric and all the herbs, all the things in the market, and then we buy it, and they bring a lot of things are there. So there's interactions of activities and food habits and everything. Now everything is stopped. This area demarcated. Sisipur, everybody from Impala is restricted, and all the one in the More, which is the border, and then More and Sisipur, all meetings have been brought in here. And what is it the solution? Of course it is not. And how do we get back? Now how will they go back to the school? Who is going to pay the fees after 2 months? After this month? There's no internet, so this boy he's got a meds, he has to sit meds now, he's cleared the prelim. So he's telling me how to study. There's no internet. So I say you pick up the Didi Vastu, the Constitution of India, that is the Bible of the civil service. You start with that and do your offset. And he has got to come to give the exam in this September, and UPSC is not going to postpone the exam for that. There's so many things are happening. How are they going to write? Internet banning for 2 months, is it a solution? Maybe if we don't ban it, and maybe it's better at least they can do the e-economy. They can sell the products, or they can order something. Everything is at a standstill. And then also, no solution. I mean, you fight in a family also when the kids fight, there is a solution. But the solution, we all have to sit together. It's not that only the way everybody is suffering, the hill people are suffering so badly. Then please raise your voice. Where's the voice of sanity? As sir said, the woman, we are so tired. What should we do? The mothers are tired, tender. How are they going to live on the relief money 101 crore? What is that? The top tax there, Reliance profit is how much? How much tax they pay? 1,000 crore. And so many things. And now, when it comes to GST, if you don't pay on 11, 50 rupees per day. Yes. Just because internet is the government is going to give its exemptions. So exactly. It's high time. We have to call for a tax holiday. Tax holiday for the investors so that they will be happily coming. And tax exemption for the Maitais. If we get scheduled tribe, yes, we'll get everything in a lump sum. Because it's not about ST, it's about land crunches that we all know by now. And the whole India also knows. And it took this big, huge, internal civil war for the whole of India to give attention. I mean, it's very sad for me. Like, we have worked 20 years. It's very sad, but by now they know. By now they also know that the very people pay the tax. We are equivalent to the people of Mumbai and Delhi. is Manipur? We're so good. We're so advanced. This is some logic that people don't understand because here we are all settled tribe for the men in India. Then why? Why this pride? Oh, I'm a Murti. Oh, I'm so higher class. कहाँ से? अब ये एक महीने इंटरनेट ये crisis हुआ. Everybody's how they're going to eat, how the poorest of the poor is going to feed the child. So it's high time that I request because I have worked in Mumbai, I have handled such top cases, and when I see the budget of Manipur, the yearly budget of Manipur is even lesser than the top taxpayers of India. It's so sad. Actually, it's so sad because I know the ground reality over there. Who doesn't have any connection with the rules and the GST? What GST? Come on. People there, they don't even want to go to the bank. There's no concept of some of them even don't know. And if you pay beyond 20,000, I'm going to penalty. I mean, it is so out of tune. And why it is out of tune? Then again, back to ourselves. The answer lies with us. We are so many educated people. It's not that we are not. We are. I think our education level is around 70, 80, around almost 80%. But then also we are so ignorant. Why? So proud. So, and from 1948, we've been paying 30% of the tax. And the rest won't pay the tax. So what I would like to say is that I'm thinking, 1948, we're the better one, we're the better brother, doing very well. But after 75 years, I think the scenario has changed. So equalization has to take place, and it is this anger, I think, which came out on Imphal Valley on 4th. The deprived 90% of the migrants. Let me say, 10-15% are the lucky few like me, who got the education and who are here or serving the government of India. But 90% of the migrants are not this. They are the ones who are suffering right now, and they want to say, yes, give us something. Government of Manipur, government of India, please give us something. Same is the case here. On the other side, and so many issues that it is too complex for anybody to understand. The tribal land issue, so many issues. But for the time being, what I would request of the business community, please claim that tax holiday and tax exemption for at least 10 years. Even if we don't get ST, give us exemption for 10 years for everybody, for the government services. For the business community, for government services, because you deserve it. You have to rehabilitate yourself. We have to rehabilitate our Manipur. And we should have one voice. Too many voices is a noise actually, it's a noise. Small voice, like eddy current in a big sea. Our voice is like an eddy current, ऐसे घूमते खत्म हो जाता है. Let's create a force, slowly mobilizing everybody, helping each other, and understanding them. If we have given them the status they want. We are human beings, every human being wants respect. At the end of the day, I started with my dad, but you are a human being first. Let's give them equal status. Let us say sorry for the history and then correct our geography. So we need to correct the history and geography of Manipur. After 75 years down the line, the situation we are facing was never wanted, never expected, but now I think time has come to correct the history and geography of Manipur, and that has solved the problem. And I just hope peace will come, because yesterday, the government has been doing a very strict thing, and today the news was that, Manipur government has told all the government services, please go back to your, workplace, otherwise you'll not get salary. And so now, carrot and stick. It's required. Stick is also required. Time for carrot 2 months is gone. Stick has to come after 2 months of suffering by the people. The haves don't suffer. The one who has the rich don't suffer. It's the poorest of the poor. It's very, very sad. So now moving to Khagemba. He's a very young entrepreneur and he's a very fiery brand. So we are putting in the last because we want to hear the thunder. We do not. So, please be ready to shoot your questions. Some policy will be formulated after this meeting, and we will be your booklet also.
Very good afternoon to all. Our chairman, moderator has told me about tender, but let's see what it's all about. I will take my speech from where Rajan has ended. He told that the solution should come from us, from us only. He has rightly said, because of one thing. This one thing is the reason why I am here. Because in the last 54 days, we have discussed so many parameters, so many perspectives, but no one has ever discussed this point. That's why I am here. So this perspective, as an entrepreneur, we look through a prism of management. We will always do things in a management terms, how things are managed. The cause, the effect, the domino effect, and the remedy and all. So this is a very interesting thing. And when we look at the crisis in Manipur, we are seeing it in a perspective of things are something happening in Manipur, violence and all. But actually, the very reason, a very prominent reason I would say, it's not the only reason. Other reasons have already been discussed. This is also a very prominent reason. The prominent reason where we see the manifestation everywhere in India. And I can give you hundreds of examples for that. But being an entrepreneur, I'll just give one example. But during the course of the question and answer, I can give many more also. But as for the convenience of time, I'll just give one example. This one example is that our manufacturing contributes only 17% of our GDP. Next time I'm talking. And this is below what the Bangladesh is. Bangladesh has 21.24%. How come a country like India, with 1.4 billion people, with all the big scale manufacturing infrastructure, with highly talented people, with ample natural resources, with no lack of money, banks and everything is in place, but why our manufacturing is in 17%, even below this. So people tend to blame the government. I am pointing out something that the government itself is also under attack. Because we have seen world famous economists in the forms of RBI, this RBI boss, governor. We have seen world class economists in the forms of our finance ministers. We have seen multiple good personalities as our prime minister. Our current prime minister is also very powerful. But we can't lift this up. But the simple arithmetic and the simple economics is that when we have 1.4 billion population, that means the demand is there, the consumption is there. But we are not being able to fulfill it because it has one big problem. The country is going through a big problem, that is system crisis. It's all our system. And I will take this to Manipur now. How this system is failing. There is in the system, we will find some failure lines, some issues lines which needs to be corrected. And in India, this correction takes a very long time. So, how this Manipur is related to this is that the shoe. I have done a little bit of research on shoe. And sir has started about the entire narrative of how it started, so I don't want to go into it. But during those times, in 2008, because in the discussions, some people told us that it has more to do with our engagement, the foreign policy with Myanmar. But when I read an article written on in 2008 by an American columnist and a strategist himself, who was based in San Francisco Bay Area, she wrote that the motivations behind the Myanmar engagement during those times were for 4 reasons. One is the access to the natural resources of that Myanmar. Second is the enhancement of influence, the Indian influence in Myanmar. Third is controlling the insurgents in all this. Fourth is checking on the Chinese influence in the region. We have shown here and the Myanmar policy. In 4 of the region, nothing is connected to the Sioux. So, when I look back further, right now, the KNA people who are part of the Sioux, right now, they are demanding a peace agreement with the Bangladesh government. They are fighting right now, but when they fight, they don't demand this independence, they don't demand this no nothing. They demand just a peace deal. They are waiting for a peace deal to strike. In Myanmar also, the Myanmar government does not accept any peace deal. Now they are fighting like anything because the military junta is in a defensive now. But the government of India get into the deal in 2008. I need to look a little deeper into it. Why it went, in spite of Bangladesh and Myanmar, went into it. But in the 6th of September 1993, the current party to the Sioux, Mr. Thangen Pao, who is the chairman of the JRO, have submitted a memorandum to the Prime Minister of India in 1993. There it says that the Kuki Chin, they call the Jaw people, in the regions of Myanmar, Manipur, and Bangladesh, want to form a Kuki nation. So they go behind that line, and the systematic demand of first a peace deal, then now they are demanding a separate administration. Now I will take you to the world countries. There are about 17 narco states in the world. Narco states is a term used by journalists and all, so journalists people know it. What narco state means is that in a country where the politics and the economic decisions are being influenced by the drug cartel are called narco states. So in all the narco states, there is a pattern, and you will see in YouTube and all the documentaries by the BBCs and all the good people, reputed people, that first what they do, they initiate a clash with the government, an arms fight with the government. Once the arms fight is there, they will seek for a peace deal. Once the peace deal is established, they will have the freedom to operate there, and then they consolidate a separate administration. This is the exact word they are using. They establish a separate administration, and then this drug strike happened. And right now, since 2008 to 2023, sir has also figured that about 18,000 square hectares, more than 18,000 acres of land has been, and the public plantation, and 48,000 crore per year, this, that, and all this, we are seeing this. So, what I mean to say is that in our system, the government is doesn't have a system where policy planning is decided by deep thinking. Now, deep thinking has, for the government and for private companies, government and all, this deep thinking has been replaced by design thinking. Design thinking. It is now called design thinking by all the people, but in Singapore it was used to be called pragmatic thinking. It should be working. So we cannot blame the government for all these things because it is a natural weakness we have inherited from the Britishers. Because the present form of government is a continuation of the British times. Because we have not been able to change it. Just before the COVID-19, we were the CII community. We were in talk. We were visited by in Guwahati. We were visited and interacted by some 15 renowned entrepreneurs of Malaysia. And then when we discuss about all the economic activities and these industries and all, and we discuss a little about politics also. When we discuss about politics and system, they told that the Malaysia that you are seeing now is a result of what we have redesigned our system some 15 years back, 18 years back now. So 18 years back, before that, we have the same problem like you are having in India. So when we talk about the systemic problem, it all boils down to us at the lab because solution, whenever there is a crisis, the government will do some 4 stages of testing. First, try by force, or postpone it, or give money, or wait until they die on its own. These are the 4 processes the government does because we don't have a system of engagement. Ma'am Banita is also an IRS from the UPSC. Our main administration is done by the UPSC people. And this UPSC is not designed for critical thinking. They are very much engaged in the administration job, and they are given the job of this critical thinking that does not work. They have enough burden on them. So the country has a problem like this. So we must understand, and this also blaming the government will not work. And now I come to about the Meiteis. We have been going through a process of lack of empathy among us since a very long time. A Meitei police officer will never be willing to help a Meitei, a poor person in distress, because we don't work like that. Our system is different. Our system is entirely different. And a Meitei person in distress will never be helped by another Meitei. And this has been going on since a very long time. But now we are in the same trouble. Everyone is in trouble. We are hurt by our sentiment and we go up by a more. This is the usual pattern going. And about the leadership, the Raja has rightly pointed out that you must form groups and all. We must be able to interact in a way where smartest people among us will give their opinions and ideas can be shared, validated, and come up with a conclusion and recommend the government, recommend the people who are in power, recommend the civil society, and recommend everyone. So the interaction that we are looking for since the last so many years has to be reinvented now and get it going. So this was my main point. The second point that I will go into is a continuation, but a very visible one. That how the Meiteis engage in the media. I think you must all have seen the way anyone in the national news, the way the Meiteis respond to the thing, because most of the people don't know how to react. We are lost and we never thought about this, and we don't know much about our own history, we don't know much about what is, then when you ask what is the solution, see, solution comes from a process. it cannot be, right now we are sitting here in this room in the last 2-3 hours and we can find a solution. No, it doesn't work like that. It is like making a sculpture an idol, because you have to make it from mud, putting water and all, because you have to create it. It is not yet, you don't have to discover it, you have to create it. So in the creation of the solution, there must be a process. In that process, the government and people cannot go side by side. The government, the civil society, and everyone must unite for the cause, for the existence, and for the common well-being. If one side thinks that whatever good for me is enough, then it will not work. That Raja talked about the imbalance. So if an imbalance is created, then another problem will start. That will be the domino effect. Another problem will be the mother of our new problem. The new problem will be the mother of another problem. So it will go on and on in the vicious cycle. So all said and done, I will be happy to take any questions I have. I'm comfortable with any question. So I'll cut short my speech here. So I have just put this point because I think in the entire media discourse, no one has ever put out the intrinsic management issues that the entire country is facing. And we discussed it and everyone knows this. I mean, sir will know, everyone will know this. We have this system issues. So if we talk about system, the people sitting in Delhi also will understand. Oh, the same system that we call it, in some of the cases we call it policy paralysis and all. The term that I use. Some are called it structural deficiencies, some call it a lot of things, jargon has been put out on it. So thank you so much for being with me, and I will love to take any questions if there is.
So there is a systemic problem. Who manages the system? Who are part of the system? It's not a computer online or anything. The system, you are the system. You create the system. So the solution lies with this called human being. Time and again, the solution has to be a human approach, and human only can. AI comes, so many things, some WeChat come, but the one who is going to bring forth, who is going to give the good direction is only the human. So therefore, with this, like, the solution lies with us. I'm like, let's be very positive. They will come around. They're angry, but they also know that this is their land. Like the way we are saying, it's our land. We all are together, we have it all together. Why you allow all the outside forces in the recent past to influence you so much that you don't even raise your voice? And there's so many friends out there, they heard, they sing, they will come out. We are going to nudge them. Nudging is the right word. We have in the traditional big brother, the majority, 60% of the population. But we might say, no, we don't have, we just have 2 children, maybe 1 child policy has been followed, thanks to the education and all. So we have to find a solution, and it is not now, I think, let's open the floor to the person. Will we take a break, sir, or we'll just open the floor to the
Let's finish it off. It's late now.
Let's open the floor now. Over to you.
Thank you all the panelists and moderator for this insightful discussion. Now we'll have the time to open the floor for discussion. So for the questions, so if you have any question or would like to share your thoughts, please stand up at your place and our mic handler will come to you.
Yep.
So let's start the question.
1 minute. You speak? I thought it is.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm Major Yampe Mugumba, a retired officer. I'm a Meitei. First of all, very happy to see Meitei united, a community who everybody with a big ego, but we're very united now. Now, initially this whole program was more of a Meitei bashing, that you have made this mistake, you have made that mistake, you didn't go to Chirachandpur. Meitei tried their best. Please do not blame Meiteis. 64% of the population is Meitei. Girls are going to Churachandpur Medical College to study for nurses and all, so they are all cooperating there. People go there and do farming in Churachandpur. It all ended after third evening. What has happened in this time, that the inquiry take place, it is an outer hand. It is not the original cookie, Meitei cookie. I would say Meitei cookie who came in 1830. So second point, Rajat's point was, you have been advisor to the Chief Minister. Why did Manipur have Assam Rifle looking after one district where the police station is closed, there is Mori. So now you have given a complete district to Assam Rifles and police is sitting home without doing any work. Churachandpur also with police, with Assam Rifles. These are the two districts which started all this problem. For that, the Chief Minister must take the blame. He cannot say that I am sorry. Please answer to the people of Manipur why this has happened. So second point, lastly, I did not agree with the point moderator spoke after you finished. That is again Meitei bashing. That is not the, Meitei cannot be blamed. Meitei has been going to Ukhrul also. Meitei has been going to work as a nurse also in Ukhrul. So we cannot say that we segregate ourselves. Has the other side responded to us? They've been coming and doing business to us. We also go and do business, but they're too violent when all people go there. When Meitei go there, not all people. And it has been happening since the Maharaja's time that we've given them too much of independence. That is called non-interfering with their working structure. They still continue with that. And as regarding after finance, they talk about ATC, they talk about so many things. It is their politician who spend the money, it is their king who spend the money. If they have not been spent, they must ask them where's the money gone. Not blame the people of Delhi. That's all I have to say.
Can I ask the question or the answer to the follow-up?
Some response has to come or just a statement, sir? Yeah, it's sort of a statement, but there's no Meitei bashing. Let's not use the word, let's not put this word. We are here for us. For us only. I'm Meitei. We all are Meitei. So the word, I don't like the word, playing of the word. Basically, we are concerned, let's say that. The other side.
Okay, I am Group Captain B.M. Salma, retired from Indian Air Force 1.5 years back.
Oh, yeah, and please direct your questions to the panelists. Then it is easier.
I have two questions. One to Sir Pradeep and one to Mr. Rajat. Madam, sorry to say, I also felt a little bit of Meitei bashing, so sorry for that. Not to take my heart. Sorry.
One second, just let me interrupt.
Yes, nothing to discuss more.
See, there's one ethnic cleansing was started by the cookies.
They will drop it here.
I also and this is a term, can I just say, this is a term used only by Myanmar. Why they coined this term in Manipur. We don't stand for that. We believe in the unity. Unity in diversity, thy name is India and Manipur. We don't stand for ethnic cleansing. Come on, so let's not
I'm also happy to see such a
that
unity.
become our negative points to count.
Let's go ahead, madam. Let's go ahead. I feel to see such a large group of crowd having the same in the same frequency. My first question to Pradeep sir is, sir, you spoke well about more of a lot of books you mentioned which I never read, but I understand your ideas. But I am seeing in media, especially the television medias, the cookie community generally, they are very hardliners and they are strict on their forward. But the Meitei communities, as we all heard from all the speakers, including all of you, and whoever comes in the panel, they are moderate and they are ready to compromise. This happens in. And medias, they have projected Meitei in a different way. Today also I was seeing News 19, it must be a recorded one, and they termed the Mera Paibis as militants. They were reporting, see the militants coming in ambulance, in the so barns and so many things, see the militants. This is a term given by the media, which I felt very offended, number one. Number two, this is based on a video recorded by army and released by the army. The emblem is there. Sir, Himalay sir will agree with me. So even the army releases video and the media is telling our Mera Paivi, the lady crowd, lady folk, as militants, it's a very hard, it's a pain in the heart. So how we can counter them, or our youths, especially the tech-savvy youths, the young crowds, how, it's your time, because we are not much into that Facebook and all those things. So sir, can you give some advices to the young crowd, how to counter such type of say maligning the image of our Manipuri Meiteis Mera Paibis? This is to you, sir. Second question to you, Sir Rajat. Mr. Rajat, you have seen, you have stayed in Manipur, well understood. I am very unhappy to hear that the Meiteis, what Meitei are demanding is not clear to you. I am very clear. I heard, I am not in a part of Meitei society. I am part of a society, but I am not in Manipur. But I heard in Delhi, yes, they are demanding remove SU or terminate SU or immediate NRC and blockade of NH2 and peace. These are the four. Everybody is hearing. If you being in IS officer, if you are not able to hear it, I am very sad to say that how Home Minister will hear it. And the Mera Paivis or the present problem by the Meitei is very rightly said, it is fear of unknown. They fear. Because Army and Assam Rifle, they fail to gain the trust of the Meiteis. You would have seen many videos. The Assam Rifle people trying to burn a shop, the beating the crowd, a lady taking a sign, and also the beating of vandalizing the private cars and throwing stones to the homes, which are not expected. Whereas we have seen in Jammu and Kashmir how these people, same set of people behave. It is very, very, very pain in the heart. The same set of disciplined people, how they behave in Jammu and Kashmir and how they behave in Manipur. It includes Assam Rifle and some part of army, I am not very sure. The episode of Sugnu police station is very sad, but there is a sense by the people of the Manipur, especially the Meiteis, that you are not trustworthy. So the army should, or the central forces, they should start developing trust. They should try to take steps to gain trust of the society. Once this is done, and it can be done, SU is one of the fear because you have an illegal agreement. It is an illegal agreement. How can you have an agreement with the militant? Which, if I have arms, I will come under UAPA. And you have militants, you know they have arms, you are counting every month. And it doesn't come under UAPA 2008 or the Arms Act 2016. Where they are having all categories. Category A, 1, 2, 3, 4 categories they are having. Whereas, if I have a license, I can have those arms. So these are the questions to you, and true, I think you can discuss with your seniors if you feel it is a legitimate point, and please pass over to the Home Ministry and the problem will solve. Thank you very much.
I'd like to add one point to the brother. Yeah. It's related to the point that the Indian Army, they need to gain our trust. Army need to trust. Recently, Lemacong incident, Kanto Sabal is a place it is inhabited by Meitei community, and it is not even a 1 minute away from the Indian Army headquarters, APO 57 Mountain Division. It is not even a 1 minute away from the headquarters of Indian Army. But Kuki militants or Kuki came down and burned more than so many houses. How come? How could they burn in front of the Indian Army?
What exactly holding them back? What was the reason behind it? We would like to know that. Today, it is it made me so disheartened, and I'm feeling so sad. When I woke up, I saw a tweet on social media by the Indian Army. I have the proof with me, and they were blaming that Manipur women, they are disturbing or they are not allowing them to do their duties. If you want proof, I can show you. And already early in the morning, already more than 2 lakhs already viewed that tweets. So it means everybody, we Maithili women, we are directed in the wrong way. हम लोग क्या दंगाई है? रचा जी, आप सुनिए, आप बिजी है फोन पे, रचा. Yes, I want you to listen to me. I want you to listen all first.
On that Twitter, I have seen that tweet you're referring to. If you scroll down, at least 5, 6, 7 days down, you will see another tweet from the same handle. It is also accusing the Kuki women leaders who are blockading the NH2. The same handle. There also the army is saying that we can clear that highway in split seconds, but we are respecting humanity there. We are not taking up arms against the Kuki women also, who are trying to act as shield and trying to protect that. See both these tweets in the same light. Do not see ultimately why are we here. I can understand there are grievances. Those grievances cannot be solved only necessarily by us. We are noting down all the points. Have the patience to convey your points in a dispassionate way. Because ultimately solutions will only come when we take one step behind being too belligerent. I'm not here as a spokesperson. I came here for all of your well-being. I could have been doing my own for-profit work. My job is done. I could have washed away and walked out and sat on television and give gyan over there. Why am I coming in and spending 5 hours?
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
They should also start cultivating ambassadors in Delhi. How many people are even willing to understand your perspective? See, always understand when there is a problem, you need to get to the origin of the problem. Why is it that the Meghdei perspective has been lost in the Delhi narrative? Why is it for 30 days constantly only the Kuki perspective was being paraded by Karan Thapars and others? Why did you not invest in having friends across different communities here in Delhi who could have bettered your point of view also? That's a communication problem. I'm just addressing all the 3 points that I have. You can say I've got your point.
No, I have more.
I see. Everybody will have questions. We have to moderate this session in a way it is effective and productive.
I did not complete my statement.
No.
I did not complete my opinion.
Fair enough. You can carry on. I'm saying that
something. That's why I would like to grab your attention.
My phone, first of all, do not accuse me. My phone was upside down. I was not reading it. I was carefully noting down the points. So please get out of this accusatory mode. Okay, this is demeaning to us. I can walk out in 1 second. Please don't accuse the other party.
You're getting me wrong. Please.
No, you are accusing without having full information. That's the classic mirroring of the problem that you are undergoing. You do not have full information and you mirror and start accusing. This is the main problem. Don't get on to that mode because that's a defeatist mode.
Please, let me complete.
No, I'm just saying that the topic, accusing individuals out here, making somebody doesn't serve your purpose. We are spending time to be productive. Okay, let us not be unproductive in our exercise. It doesn't behove good either on your part or on our part.
Sister, relax.
No.
Mr. Rajat, you have to show little more maturity. Please go ahead.
Let me complete it. Here I am going to say about the trust gaining of the Indian Army. In front of the campus, Sabal is just 1 minute away from the Limacom Indian Army headquarters. And this incident happened. Kuki and Kuki militants came down and burned the houses, Meitei communities' houses. But still, they were unable to save the houses. How? So by this incident, from watching all these incidents, how come we trust on Indian Army? My point is, I would like to come at this point.
Ma'am, I have answered to the point. Instead of Rajat, I have answered to the point. See, let's have a balanced view. In some areas, the Assam Rifles, the army did make mistakes, and in some areas, they have done a great job also. They have done a great job in evacuating, and you will, have you ever heard about an incident in this thing in Sabarmina police station? The person themselves, the victim themselves narrated, they were saved by the Assam Rifles at the midnight. Had the Assam Rifles did not come there and rescue them, they would all will be dead. In that case, they have done a great job. And in all the narratives of the people in Chichanpur, the police didn't do anything, and Assam Rifles has saved them. This is also there. And on the 26th of, you are mainly sentimental what we all feel. Well, this is a day, so you need to clarify on this. On 26th of May, the Honorable CM gave a statement that in 38 areas, vulnerable areas, the security deployment has been sent. On the night of 27,
Yes.
13 villages were burned, and there were complaints about the Assam Rifles being complicit to the crime. Okay, and this and from that day, the movement by this Manipur started for not accessible people. So, in such a highly volatile political situation, because let's be very reasonable, bad things have happened everywhere. Okay, and cookies are charging that the commandos are complicit to the crime. Okay, there are both ways. So I call this as domino effect. One leads to another. So, and we forgot the initial part. The double engine works on. Okay, so let's not be very, here in this place, let's not be very passionate about what we're going to, a lot of bad things have happened. So,
No, yeah, seriously,
I the quite hung and I want the questions and the man. I cannot hesitate. So my impression create the obviously it is very unfortunate. Around the zoo, I'm Johnny, me Yamadi, I think Yaman Hadia, I can so there will be problem. Let me just clarify a few issues. Both sides, because our discussion is on the way forward actually. That's why I only spoke about way forward.
Agreed.
Not way back. But I'll just give the perspective because I'm the only army man and the Major number retired. For the first 7 days, evacuation and complete looking after all 37,000 people, mostly Meiteis, were done by the Assam Rifles and Army, number one. 7 days there was no governance. It was the Army and Assam Rifles. As you all know, actually Manipur Army presence was very little. Most of our army, those who were deployed, were in Arunachal. Okay, so everybody sees everybody as army. Stone throwing, what you saw in the video, actually, we are the same security force. Actually, they were rapid action force. That's where I'm from area. But that's not the army. Because army is a very serious issue. When we say army, but everybody in the common parlance, anyone in uniform is army. No. Army is extremely the last bastion of the nation. It's an extremely serious issue when we say, but I totally agree with you that the perception war has gone against some security forces. Okay? And you spoke about, a few days back, if you must have got the news about those KYK leaders captured with weapons. The commander, the operational boss of the half of Northeast is a lieutenant general who happened to have been my subordinate when I was in the army. He said, "Sir, if you were in my place, what decision would you have taken?" It was extremely difficult. I said, the commander on the spot has decided to leave those people based on the pressure of the crowd. Okay? But they kept the weapon. Actually, the Armed Forces Special Power Act, having identified positive identity of any militant group with arms, I think they never survived in the past. But in this case, humanitarian approach, I told him, you have taken a decision, or whosoever your subordinates have taken a decision, it is the right decision, don't look back. The issue is that many of these positive aspects also we miss out. But I still say that, I'm also staying in a locality where every day there used to be tear gas and then electric force. I'm also staying in that environment.
Sir, I want to add one
And
sentence.
I have commanded, I have commanded 100,000 army troops in Jammu and Kashmir. I know how they operate. I also tell them that let one militant go if you are going to injure one innocent people. That militant will get him some other time. But innocent life, we cannot get it back. But I agree that when such a large number of troops, unknown, these rapid action force, not used to Manipur environment. Manipur environment is not like you fire a tear gas and then people run away. In fact, people come to catch the tear gas and throw it back on the security forces. So it's a very difficult situation also. And totally strange. They can't make out between me and my brother. We look the same. Just like you go to some other place, all Chinese look the same. I can't make out. So they are also, operate in this. So I agree with your sentiments. I respect that. Okay. So please have faith in Indian Army.
Let me just add something to this about the portrayal of the Meitei opinion in the national media, which was asked to be in, and how this also had said this. I just want to say that generally there's a template that people they come with a theory and then try to fit in facts into that theory, and also to actually validate that theory. So when you have a minority community fighting with the majority, there's always already the template which says that majority will always suppress the minority, or Hindu and Christian. Hindus will always be on the aggressive side. That kind of a template is there. So generally, especially in the left liberal media, this template is very popular. So you just try to fit in without actually, on the other hand, what you should begin is with the data. You go to the ground, and then from the data you build the theory. But what's happening is you start with the theory. There's a theory which is popular. You're not even questioning that theory, then just try to fit in all what you find on the ground into that theory, and then tell that story that way. So I think that is what we should be challenging. And what do you do when these kind of things happen? I think that's where we are not very articulate. The Meiteis have not been too articulate. And also the reach to the media. You have to be able to know people in the media circuit, so that you will also be able to actually have a favorable kind of a passage into actually saying what you want to say. That I think has been where they have been missing. But otherwise, no, I don't think we should be too sensitive. People making too much noise on the media. In fact, this time, there were so many people requesting me to also come on the media. So I said, if you're doing it on a one-to-one basis, I will come. But otherwise, you want to put up another guy here as well, and he's not speaking, and you want me to speak against him. That kind of thing, I don't want. So some of the people actually, I know personally. So in fact, they called up in person, asked me whether I want to come on the panel. So I said, if it's a panel, I don't want to come. Because I may end up saying things that I would not have said, and which I will regret later. When there are so many things that you do out of self-censorship, you don't want to say so many things, although you believe something has happened, you don't want to say it because it doesn't create any good atmosphere, it doesn't create any problems solving kind of situation. So I don't want to be in that part of the situation. And also I think that's where the media has been lacking that responsibility. Another thing about the mistrust of the army, so much has been said, and I do agree with what has been said, but also there is the thing, the Assam Rifles. In a friendly way asking, haven't you seen any of this poppy field? We are just posted right in the middle of them. Why haven't you reported? So what's wrong? His answer was what's wrong. So it's something illegal, but it's not your duty. Even if it's not your duty, you're supposed to report something that is not legal. And he said, why don't we legalize it? I mean, that kind of question, I think there's a bit of guilt. And also I think this idea about rotating the posting of army is quite good, in a sense that you don't actually become too acclimatized to a certain situation. Even if it's a bad situation, you get acclimatized, you start looking the other way, you're not noticing it. And that's where the injustice begins. And I think probably some Rifles will have to bear some bit of that guilt. Why haven't you noticed any of the bad things? The militants are supposed to stay in their designated camps and not come out with weapons anytime. Has that been happening? And we know from present crisis that there were so many pictures. Even on March 3, when the rally was taking place, there were people armed, with little arms, assault weapons and all that. So why wasn't that made accountable? Why isn't it? Because Assam Rifles is supposed to be in charge of these militants, these two militants. They should have been made accountable. But what happened was on May 3, I don't think the government was present. It was missing altogether. Which is also why the trouble escalated. You saw people running, people houses being burned, and then you didn't see any reaction from the government. Even an onlooker will think, they were wishing that something would happen, and that something should have happened on account of the government. But that didn't happen. No, there was no effort to control that violence. So people start taking that law into their own hands, and that's the mayhem that we are witnessing now, and it's quite unfortunate. But that has happened. But now what we are saying is we should try to control that. And in fact, I wrote about this, that we should end this finger pointing. We have to stop somewhere. The mayhem has to end. And in fact, those who have read my article in Hindu will notice my ending thing. When this non-cooperation movement was being launched, Gandhi was in front, and it was actually making the British shiver. They thought they had lost everything. And then one way, there was that Chori Chora incident where the mob actually went violent, out of control, and they actually burned down the police station, and I think also murdered some of the policemen and all that. So Gandhi just called it up. He knew probably, that you break that control, and then everything will go haywire. And I think what happened in Manipur was that thing was happening, that breach was happening, and the government did nothing. So now everything has broken out of control, and it's actually difficult to put it back into order again. And this is why I think the responsibility is on all of us to actually say no more from here. Then we will discuss and see where the mistakes are, and then make accountable for anybody accountable for whatever mistake there is. There's an inquiry going on, and that inquiry, the sense of inquiry, the sense of hunt for justice should be in all of us. And for that to happen, I think we should leave this this exchange of hate, this exchange of the intent of violence, only then we can begin with this same kind of a dialogue, same kind of a self-inquiry. I wouldn't even say dialogue. Dialogue can also be there, but I think it's also necessary for us to do this introspective kind of a thing. Where have I gone? Instead of saying, always saying, where has it gone wrong? That same thing I was talking about Judith Butler's statement, where it was talking about the self-identity, that without you I would have been different. So that question about, instead of saying who am I, the question about what would I be without you? So that kind of question, that introspective kind of approach, I think is very much necessary in resolving any kind of conflict.
Excuse me, I think it's a wrong question.
I will just put one point to that because people may think more wrong. People may think wrong.
Okay.
I will just put when the Assam rifles took steps, which are some steps are favorable to us, some steps are not favorable to us. Then I mentioned about RF, throwing stones, and this penalizing private cars and all. I told the people out there to come up, I will bear the fees for the lawyer to put a complaint and we'll put in the court. For whatever things that happen, there are no reports. The people themselves are not ready. And there was a hiring yesterday in Chumne areas by the cooking business also. There I told that I will give the fee for the lawyer. We will put a complaint to this thing, whatever it is required. So we need to develop habit for complaining also for the wrongdoings, and we need to appreciate what good has been done. Just brushing with the same brush will become the good for us. So we need to be precise on what we appreciate, and we need to be precise on what we criticize for.
Really appreciate, in fact, the patience in the panel speakers have been bearing about the questions after questions. And my sisters on the other side there, I know the sentiments that you have been. Everyone has the same thing. First of all, I Manipur the one is again. Okay, my magsila the Hana Wole unit, Matay Madama Kanabuza, Tinton the Yawon. The Hoseki Romatam the Rajat Kumba, Queen Lero for my Amati Yawu say, Tasmina. Saksa is our Makalani, the Romani, Nimo Chapo, the Tabada, Miami, and Pula, whatever I saw him, Amadi, Piroidumadi, Haipatego. Later, Amadi, Nizan Magino, Kasawa, Saksa is already whatever Tasku, Canoli. So I also trying to have a presence in my deep of my heart and trying to understand the topic, Manipur crisis, with the same saying the words way forward, economic, social and positive. I myself would like to represent a WhatsApp group called Number 7. So I don't want to disclose my name right now. This Number 7 is a team of students, those girls and boys who works in the midnight, who comes here to study, who comes here to live a life for a living and also to support their families out there. And out of 202, I have 10 questions, and approximately by the respected entrepreneurs might have a ratio of 20:1 questions out of the 202. So daily the question, bucket sugar, bucket
21 questions.
No, 10 questions.
Let me go beyond
This is important one, because there are a lot of people you would like to hear them also.
Yes. So, apela hana heavy with the 200 capacity ni hana first come first serve. I represent the 202 members. May I be panel relatively interested in let me continue in English in the interest of Rajat, I was trying to explain all things about the families fights, especially with the sports, not getting into the interfere, but there's a high time that you should interfere us and help us. Okay, and the questions comes to the lady first, because lady is the first always, especially in Manipur. Question to the moderator. Taj Mahal, forts, temple, churches, houses are built by the people. So, even the political leaders are built by the people. What should be the role and the responsibility of the fellow citizens in moderator representing?
In Manipur?
You can speak in English or Hindi.
No, I mean, you are asking the question, what is the role of the we women in Manipur or generally?
I think the topic is Manipur crisis.
Yes, correct. So Manipur, everybody thinks women empowerment, Manipur, Nupi. You know, when it comes to political power, when it comes to decision making, zero.
Yes.
It's a fully patriarchal society. So it is a man who has to say. Whereas here I say women empowerment. When I come to women empowerment, I don't want to use the word women empowerment. I've been telling people it should be men enlightenment day, not women empowerment day. So please change. You change. We are already changed. We manage house, we manage office, we manage everything. We bring up the children. So it's the other side which is changed. So the role of the women in Manipur is very big. You put us in the front, but when it comes to political power, how many Manipuri representatives are there? So give us the right place. We'll perform much better than any other person.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate if the questions, answers could be in a very brief in the interest of the others, gentlemen and ladies. The next question is specifically the revolutionaries, militants, terrorists, and also the fellow citizens. Which of them are responsible for blocking the way forward? The question is to Lieutenant Johnny.
Repeat the question, please.
In fact, the question says it's very open, but I would like to take an opportunity to ask to you. The questions start with the phrase like revolutionaries, militants, the terrorists, or the fellow citizens of Manipur. Which of them is responsible blocking it the way forward in today's Manipur crisis?
It's a very smart question. I can assure you that it is people like you and me definitely not blocking it, but there are many forces which are blocking it. You know, I think you know the answer.
Now only one more question now because we want to hear one more question from you and then we will go.
We also want to know the answer. You know, he knows, we also want to know. I think he's
yeah, correct, he's right.
Rajan said, sometimes politicians are the problem, but they also are the solution.
Yeah.
That is one.
Yes.
And those people who are blocking the solution, it is their, I think it's the militant groups definitely, I think, want to continue. But the common people like you and me definitely want this to end.
Appreciate.
You told me to make it very short answer.
Thank you. Thank you. In fact, the next question comes to Mr. Rajat. I'll keep it as short as possible. Mr. Rajat has mentioned about the third interventions in the discussions that there might be someone who might have been intervened from the external factors, maybe, which is not very confirmed. So if I understand about the situations right now, starting from the 3rd May till then, there might be a third process, which is a strongly belief, which is not Indian or Indian fellow citizens. So if I may ask you, who would be these third interventions to you, Mr. Rajat?
I think you only said it is not Indian. I think that's where the answer lies.
So you agreed with us, or you agreed to the questions, answers as together? Thank you. Yeah. I'm thinking of
Because I want to hear Ramo Haikruzam. He has been waiting for a long time. He represents the World WFC. He's a leader of the World Military Council also. So can we just give him one more opportunity? Maybe you can keep this enough time. And sir has to go for a 7:15. Himalaya sir has to go for a meeting at 7:15 also. And we have a high tea. So can I just let him ask one question and thereafter we have enough time to come back to you. So please, Ramo Haikruzam.
Sure. I have one question in behalf of the students, so I'll come back to that.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanita. In fact, I'm not asking any question. In fact, if you would allow me, I'll just come in the middle and speak to the audience. I am Shyam Haikruzam. I am chairman of the World Military Council. Whether I know whether I don't know whether you know it or everybody wants peace. Nobody. Everybody wants peace. Okay. Everybody wants peace. In fact, as at the beginning, I think Mr. Pradeep Fanjapa said, there was no government when the thief started, when the violence started, there was no government. That was the whole thing. If the violence that started on the 3rd, if it was stopped within half an hour or 1 hour, this would never have happened. I was in Newfoundland. I saw it for almost 2-3 hours. This violence was going on. It was one-sided violence only.
Yes,
it was people was burning, making houses, killing, looting, and that went on without any change. That was the beginning. In fact, they started it, and I'm not saying they started, so therefore they should be victimized. I'm not saying that. Anyway, no.
So you know the reason behind it?
Pardon?
You know the reason behind it?
I'm not going to come to the point. Let me make a very limited point here. That is the reason why I've come here. As Mr. Sethi said, that Military, we do not articulate right, true. We don't articulate our demand, it's true, very true. Let me speak in waiting on, you will have to bear with me. I quite Military, I quite demand to demand personally. Labor demand 2012 demand. Adubo ay maintain ngam maram de kay ba to ta ma tan de ko. Masig demand maintain powerful forces in the high number. 2012 tagi ba chale ko. Manipur da akoi midai future si kai mo ne simu tam da akoi ji land su akoi land political space su like the housing 20s housing like ba assembly 60s 1971 ki census ki population da base tawga Pilamba, Sydney, Tampakta, Nifu, Singapore. Kaya Tampakta, 70% of the population is Tampakta, like Singapore, Sumay Kumchak, Adu the Delegation Commission of Pilamba. How is it? Demographic change is hugely. Okay. Okay, fine. So the population that was in 1971 was on the hills, it was 30%, 30 or 30%. On the valley, in the valley, it was 69 or 70%. Basing on that, the Delimitation Commission of India had given 40 seats in the valley and 20 seats on the hills. But now, after decades or 4 decades, this demography has been changed, shifted completely. Now, the population of the Meiteis, who were minimum, who had the percentage of 60% in 71 census. Now we have a population of 43 or maximum 44%. See the demographic changes. And we all know that if the demography changes, then problem starts. That is the root cause. As it is, Meiteis are general. Of course, we have a history for that because we were general because we were Hindus. Hindus can never be scheduled tribe. That was taught by our gurus, our Adi gurus. They told us, "Arey, Meiteis, you are the Bangsha of Arjuna. So you Arjuna's Bangshas, you cannot be ST, so you be in general." That was the reality.
You pay tax.
We did everything. So that was the thing. That was our gurus. So now what happened is, but the reality is not that. Manipur is not a heaven. It is not the land of the saints. It's human. We have limited human. I mean, this is nature. So what happened is, now in the territory also, in less than 10% of the Manipur area, we can live as rightful citizens. We can live as rightful citizens, and we are living with all kinds of people in the valley. We have more than 200 villages of the Nagas and Kukis in the valleys. We have another 3 lakhs, almost 8-9% of Muslim people. Of course, they are we call them new Muslim. And many Hindustani peoples. I mean, we are not saying that they should not live. We are saying that since this valley belongs to all of us, then why don't we Meiteis, who are aboriginal people, we are aboriginal indigenous people along with the Nagas, why don't we be allowed to be rightful citizens in the whole of Manipur? This is number one. Number two, democracy means number game. Now we are having delimitation in 25, 26, in 26. Delimitation is based on population, more people, more seats. During that last delimitation, we had 60-61% of the population. Now we have 43-44% of the total population. That means now after this delimitation, how many assembly seats Meiteis will get? Less than half. At the moment, we have 37 MLAs out of 60 MLAs in Manipur. These 37 MLAs will be going to 2027 election, assembly election. That is the year that we will be having general election, 2027. When we go in the general election for 2027, I think we will be having maximum we can secure 25 or 25, 26, 27. That's all, less than 30. Because we are not protected by any constitutional provision. Being aboriginal indigenous people, we should have this constitutional protection which is given in the scheduled tribe provision of the Indian Constitution. I think for people like us, aboriginal indigenous people, this is the only provision which we can live protected. In fact, I can speak many things against those who have attacked us, but I choose not to do it. We Meiteis, who are indigenous people, are now now on stage. We are not rightful citizens. This government of India must be knowing it. And this demand that we have been making since 2012 has been suppressed by forces in Manipur. Among ourselves, among the Meiteis. Asine dai no mayam hiding the jam ko phaya ki ako. Ase hiding the bai ai khoi maraki pamal kan ba group ne ei noi se ngam ba loi. Noi ye si do ba marandi khoi lam hori bani. Ai khoi lam hori bani ai khoi independent ta bani kai ino noi ne ST ta je hai bani ne adu le ba. Ai khoi ST ta mi adak suman mom ne ko ri ne. Tre to ni khamra se adu ne je bali ko ngai do. Let me say, let me conclude. Give me some more time. You have given so much time to others. So let me tell you. Aduna, I quite Masai Raja Setina Hagiba, I quite demand the surprise of them. Even the Chief Minister has been told not to recommend. You know that? Chief Minister Mr. Biren has been forced, they have been threatened not to send this recommendation by Meiteis only. By Meiteis only. Asian hanging the Togone. I don't get about I go get Chapsama demanded holy show. Now we want peace. Everybody wants peace. Peace and Jalani. Then after that Keroni, back to square one. Meitei will be again second-class citizen. Aguna, Maramasina. This issue that we are facing right now, when we negotiate anything, this should be on the table. Scheduled tax status for the Meiteis. We are rightful citizens to be rightful citizens. In fact, we have this full. I mean, do we deserve it? Why should do Meitei need any approval for survival?
Yes, very last Indian overseas, and I think by now, after 2 months, the narrative is slowly changing.
In fact, let me tell you, one Meitei Council is saying, always saying, that time we had a bike rally, Delhi police was trying to arrest us. Delhi police were with all their forces, they were running around us, they were trying to catch us to stop that. We went, we did it, and we said, Meitei's demand is only one thing, stop this violence. Indian army can stop this violence in 48 hours. If the violence is stopped, then national normalcy will return automatically because Meitei do not attack. We are only retaliating, number one. And number two, Meitei's right to live cannot be questioned. Our future is threatened. This cannot be questioned. Anyone, any community cannot, we do not need any permission from any community that whether Meitei should be included in the list of scheduled tribe. That's all. I'm giving you this message, that's all. I'm not asking any questions. Thank you.
The message is loud and clear. There are a lot of change in narratives and a lot of realization after these 2 months of hardship faced in the ground as well as all over the world. This is what I want to say, and this is it.
Ma'am, I just want to point out one thing. Please listen to your question about the controlling of the mob can be done within a few hours. What I have done a little bit of research on this. In every riot, the police and the paramilitary force are still watching and the crime happening. And when the research are done and the question are asked, the police and the paramilitaries, by the rule of engagement that is present now, they are not able to act as per the requirement. Because up to lathi charge they can do. Beyond that, they have to shoot. And if they shoot, what happens in the inquiry commission, they will be asked minute details about how do you shoot, why do you do that and everything.
So the hands are bound.
So this is the problem.
This is. One second, I know. Because there's a time limit. So I just want to give some time to ask for what. One second. After this, let me say this is, just let's give him 1 minute. So 1 minute, no, we are gone. He's a Manipuri, by the way.
People kutik magbo, ekai kumnajari, हमको नॉर्मल तरफ बोल देंगे। Mashiki, actually, mostly people are in non-Manipuri here, so I'll speak in English. This is a very prestigious place of Delhi, and they maintain punctuality timings. So it was written there 3 to 7. So I was thinking I may not get opportunity. Friends, there is so much in our heart which we are not able to speak of. We are very unlucky that the press and electronic media is not supporting to the real facts. That's why such type of meetings and panel discussions are very important everywhere in the country. I highly appreciate our Manipuri, the Delhi Manipuri Society for organizing it in such a prestigious place. Friends, Manipuri people, when I say Manipuri, it includes all community. Manipuri Tangkhul, Manipuri Kuki. Meitei and Manipuri are different, okay? When we say Manipuri, it includes all tribes. So Manipuri are global citizens, my friend. I have met my very old friend sitting here. We are meeting very often. Manipuris are the global citizens in every way. When I was in London, I used to attend meetings. IMA, European Manipuri Association. So likewise, this is the need of the hour that we have to open our hearts to the people. What has happened? It is written here, the crisis in Manipur. Manipuri crisis, not the Meitei crisis, Manipuri crisis. And on this board also, the heart of our people is so big that all tribes paintings are there. Not only Meitei, all tribes. Just see, the other day it is a way forward. Generals have said way forward. We don't go back. If we go back, nothing will settle. We have to forget and forgive. We have to make our genuine efforts how we can bring peace and normalcy. I think that is the only mission, all of you. Right? You all want peace, that is why you have come here. I can see the innocent faces of all people. They are messengers of peace, ambassadors of peace. Before coming to this place, I was speaking to a national media at Jantar Mantar. Before coming to this place, I spoke to them in length. I won't take more than 1 or 2 minutes. I spoke to them in length. I told them, you are not going to exhibit it, we know. It is our unfortunate. Even at my club, Manipuri Club, we have 3,600 members. Out of them, they know nothing. What is happening in Manipur, they know nothing. And it is extreme. जिसको कहते हैं ना लक्ष्मण रेखा पार हो चुकी है. Now internet ban है, हम लोग को खबर नहीं मिलती है. In a day, I get 300 to 400 calls from Manipur. They tell me what is happening. Local people are here. I have traveled much more than them all over the Manipur through so many occasions. I have traveled much more than Narendra Modi ji, Honorable Prime Minister. I know this is the only heaven in Manipur, peaceful, loving place. It is not fight. It is not fight of Manipuri and Kukis. Friends, it is not fight of this community. It is a fight created by VVIP. Why I call VVIP double V? It is a vote banking crisis they have done. In my house, 4 days back, one Manipuri doctor, very senior doctor. He is an international famed doctor. His wife is a Kuki. She had been working in Lady Harding Hospital for all his life. She has got so many medals. They are living so happily. There are thousands of examples I can give. We were living in Manipur like a family. There was no enmity. Even today, if you ask any Kuki, they don't hate Manipuri. Even you ask a Manipuri, they don't hate a Kuki. It is a politics, dirty politics, I should say, the political part. You will know everything because the media has gone to Manipur, electronic media, one day or the other, you will know everything. Rajatji was there, I know him. You know why I have come here today? When I got the invitation, I saw the faces of these panelists. They are very intellectual. And I came to see them, to meet them, to greet them. The General Sir, you know, he was the commander. India won Kargil war because of his command, his able leadership. And he has trained so many army officials in Pune. He is such people. Manipur में इंडिया को बहुत कुछ दिया है. The first tri-color flag कहाँ पर लगा था भाई और बहनों? मणिपुर की धरती पर. INA, first tri-color flag. And when the Japan war came, they could not cross Manipur and Nagaland. वहीं से वापस भेज दिया. नहीं तो क्या होता? पूरे देश में क्या होता? Manipur ने बहुत कुछ दिया है. Manipuris are the most intellectual, highly cultured people. Do you know in the parliament, 80% staff are from Manipur. We should be proud. मेरा दिल रोता है. You know, I cannot sing. I have kept my card on the table. You can take the snap. You can take the phone number. You dial me anytime in the midnight. 1, 2, 3, 4, any. मैं नहीं सोता हूँ. I am available whole night. So हम लोग we will not go to the past. क्या हुआ, कैसे हुआ, किसने किया? Let us forget and forgive. Let us wait.
We have one question from the ladies.
Yeah.
So I'm so sorry to interrupt you because our time is about to be over and we have a high tea.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. बोलने का तरीका पूरा रात भी बोलूँगा कम है, ठीक है? Because I love Manipur and Manipur is in my heart and next birth I will be a Manipuri born.
Hello. Thank you everyone, especially on the panelists, and on behalf of my day, Mr. Rajat, I would like to thank you so much because on the TV, I think for the past 50 days, you have been our vocal, you have been our voice. We want to thank you so much for your effort, for your love, and for your concern. And I would also want to give a message to you so that you can transfer to Ramizi. Ramizi is also one of the person who has been working on our behalf. I would like to thank on behalf of our mighty people. Please give our thanks to her. And I have I don't have many things to share because I don't want to accuse, or I don't want to start who started and who did this. Everyone knows that. But I want to share to all of us, the mighties here. Please open your Twitter. That is the channel, that is the platform where we can make an influence. There are so many false propaganda. There are so many fake narratives. Please, each one of you, please, open an account. And we are a team. From the past 51 days, we have not slept. We slept at 5 a.m. Every morning, we slept at 5 a.m. And we are working. And so I would like to request all of you, if you cannot even write, it's okay. You can just retweet. Retweet what we will. Please connect with us, and we will tell you to whose tweets have to be retweeted. That is all that we need, because there are so many things that is false narrative is going on. And one last thing I would like to share. For the way forward, how do we go forward when the other group, they want the solution first and not peace? How do we go forward with that kind of a group? Question is to everybody from our panelists. How do we go? How do we? Hello? Yes. Okay. My question is, how do we go forward when the other group, are we going to go forward by ourselves only, or are we looking forward with the other group? I mean, like with the cookie group. Like when the other person, when the other group, they don't want the peace, they want the solution first, not peace first. So how do we go forward with this kind of group?
That is the first and foremost question. There has been that is the most difficult question for all initiative people also. But it is like this. When we go for solution, they have a demand that says
Thank you so much, Damo. I mean, I call him Damo also, sir also, and Jairan also. We are so happy that they are here today, and it's been really. Thank you so much. I missed that whatever the commotion, but I know you stayed for us. That was yes, sir. You be with him always. Thank you so much. Chai, please.
hello. Please. May I answer now? See. सर यहाँ पे कदम चल रहा है, यहाँ इंटरव्यू ले रहा है।
We will answer that. We have to reply. Please. Excuse me.
किसका बनाना है किसी किसी का
Gracias.